Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery. Got a product video for you today that I'm excited to tell you about. I want to tell you about the brand new E-Tac Light, most commonly known to people as the E-Tac Light. This is a sight light kit for your scopes that you're going to put on your bow. And it just is a super solid light system, the way they have the connections. This is basically, they've taken all the light kits that we've seen over the years and they've fixed a lot of the issues that archers have had with some light kits. And this E-Tac, it really is bulletproof. So first, where I want to start with this is to explain to you what you get in the pack, because it's a lot of stuff. And basically what it's going to do is allow you to connect this to just about any sight or bow. There's options for both. And you're going to be able to connect it to just about any scope out there. There are adapters for everything. You can see I've got it connected here to a Shrewd Optum. What I've got here is the pack with the adapters that would allow me to connect that light to just about any of the other scopes, depending on what thread that scope system uses for receiving a light. You're going to have all the adapters here, and I haven't found one that it doesn't fit. There may be one out there, but with all the adapters that you get, it's going to fit just about any scope out there. So besides those adapters, you're of course going to get your standard wall plug. You're going to get a charge cord that does have both the USB and mini USB. Obviously the USB is going to go in the plug. Mini USB is going to go in the unit itself. You're going to get connections, connection plates. I'll talk about those in a minute for how you use those. You're going to get hardware. Depending on how you connect this sight, you're going to need different hardware. And look at all that hardware that you get in there. What they're doing is accounting for different riser thicknesses, different configurations of your sight bars. And if you need different length screws, you get them all. So they're really accounting for just about any scope setup that you can imagine, scope and sight setup. They're going to make it possible for you to connect this sight without having to go out to get any extra parts. Continuing on, we have, this would be for the auxiliary power outlet in your car, or that's what you young folks would say. People my age would say plug this in the cigarette lighter. But it's a USB connection, so you can charge it when you're in the vehicle as well. And of course, you're going to get the unit. This is the E-Tac Light, and you're going to get the cord, the extension cord that has the light on the end of it, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. This is like a fabric material. It's super solid. This just does not feel like something that's going to break easily, which is something, with some other sights, you kind of handle them delicately. You don't got to handle this thing delicately. And something else it has is it does have the 90-degree connection right there. We all love that. Rather than having to take the USB and go straight in, that 90-degree connection just makes it super simple to plug that in. But now looking at the unit itself, okay, here it is. So when I power it on, it does come fully charged in the pack. When I power it on, what you're going to see is you're going to see a number that's going to give you the battery life. And I believe this one's going to say 90, that means 90%. Anything up to 100%, it's going to give you how much life that battery has. So I turn that on. And then the next number you're going to see is a number from 1 to 15. That is the brightness, 15 individual brightness settings. So right now I'm on 12. I'm going to go up to 15. There's 13, 14, 15. And now I will take it back down to 1. So you can see that light getting dimmer. 15 brightness settings on there. So you can make this pin as quiet or as loud as you want. Or if you're out there in the bright sunlight and you just need a little more light to it, you can really crank it up. Shooting indoors, maybe you don't want a ton of light, but just to have 15 options for this light is incredible. One of the coolest features about this light that we really like, what's the worst case scenario? You're up there on the shooting line, battery goes dead. That tends to happen, especially with sights that actually have batteries that you put in. There is no battery to change here, it's just rechargeable. So let's say I'm shooting this, I set it down. Now, the factory setting for this is that in 30 seconds, that light is going to go out. Okay, so let's say that was me setting my bow down, hanging it up somewhere where it's going to sit perfectly still. The light shut out. Again, the factory setting for that was after 30 seconds of my bow not moving, it went out. Now let's say I come back to the line and pick it up. There it goes. Just automatically comes back on. The movement is what kicks that thing on. And there is a warning here. I'll set it down and you can watch when it is about to go off, it's going to flash right here. Now that setting in there is programmable. So if I were to pick up the sight here, and if I hold in the power button for 3 seconds, you're going to see that it says SPO 30. So I can take that up to like 10 minutes if I want to. Right now, just by hitting plus or minus, I can take it down to 5 seconds. I can take it all the way up to 10 minutes if I want to. Again, as I said, factory setting is 30 seconds, which I kind of like. So I'm going to leave it there, but you can change that to wherever you want. All right, now to a couple of the things that really separate the E-Tac light, especially from some of the other lights. So as we mentioned, it does have this like cloth covered cord, which is just super durable. The connection here where you screw it into the scope, this is even super solid, much more solid than we've seen on some other lights. So that's just what I screw into the scope, and you do want to do it disconnected from the unit so that this can spin freely. You don't want it to hang up. So if I'm going to install it on my Shrewd Optum, this is the port for the light. I'm just going to put it in there, screw it in until it's tight. Now, how you take care of the cord from there is up to you. I'm pretty simple. I'm just going to wrap it around and plug it in like that. You will get zip ties in here that you can zip tie this. If you want to make it neater, you can do that if you want to. Just it's personal preference how you want to set it up. The unit itself, you can see here how I have it connected. So I mentioned you're going to get some mounting plates. There are 2 mounting plates that you're going to get. I have this one on here. And what they allow you to do is one of the kind of issues with these sight lights is they've often been held in place simply by Velcro. They're loose, you can slide them around. This thing is screwed in there and you cannot move it. When you shoot it, it doesn't rattle, or when you shoot your bow, it doesn't rattle. This thing is locked in there, rock solid. It is not going anywhere. That's what I really like. You don't get that buzzing at the shot because your sight light is rattling around, which would also cause sometimes cords to pop out. You don't have that. This thing is locked into place. Now, you can see how I have it connected to, I have a CBE Elevate, so this is how I connected it to the sight. This allowed me to fit it. My riser comes to right about here on my bow, so that was as much space as I had. But you can connect this thing to the bow. If you have one of those open mesh design risers, you can thread these screws through the riser to get to these plates. It's going to sandwich it just like that. And as I mentioned, depending on which plates you use, that's going to dictate which set of screws that you use, what hardware. So for me to connect it to a dovetail sight, most of the dovetails that we use, you're going to use Pack B. If you're going to connect it to the riser or some other fashion, you're going to use A. Now, as we all know, bow sights are not all perfectly straight like this. Some of them that don't have dovetails, you know, some of those direct mount sights, the ones that you bolt directly on, they can't be removed unless you take out a screw. These connections are not going to work for that. So they have even more hardware. You can see it in the directions, but this little plate right here, you would mount this into one of the holes in the sight, and then it connects to the plate. Essentially what you're doing is extending the light kit up away from your bow sight. So that's why I say this sight kit, I mean, it works for just about every sight out there, including direct mount sights. That's what that bar is for there. Directions explain everything, whatever kind of sight you have, or if you want to mount it to the bow, the E-Tac directions, they explain how you can do that and get that to work. And then lastly, you know, if there just isn't a way for you to connect this light to your sight or your bow in, you know, using one of these plates, they do still give you the old Velcro. So you can always go back to the old standard Velcro system there. You would use this plate right here. You can see I have slots here and here. That's where you would thread your Velcro straps through and connect that to your bow. All right, the E-Tac Light. It is powered by, as we said, a rechargeable lithium battery. And what they say is that it would take 2 hours to go from 0% totally dead to 100% absolutely full. You know, if you're just doing 10%, 20%, it's going to charge much faster, obviously. They do say that this pack has a battery life of about 1,000 hours. That's 1,000 hours of continuous use, which with the automatic off switch, you know, you can offset that. You saw mine had a reading of 90%. I've been running it for about a month now. It's on its original charge. I have not recharged it. I'm only down to 90%. And, you know, I'm shooting it at some point just about every day. That 1,000 hours, that is continuous use running with the light on the lowest setting, number 1 setting. If you go up to the 15, the brightest setting, that's going to have a continuous run of about 30 hours. Again, that's the estimates from the manufacturer, but with the shutoff, you know, it's going to take, you're going to have this light running for a lot longer than that under normal use. All right, something else that you can customize on here is you can see when I turn it on, so the backlight there are 3 settings for that you can change the brightness for. The factory setting is 2. 1 is the lowest, 3 is the highest. And how you would get to that is the unit has to be on, and then I'm going to press and hold the power and the plus sign for 5 seconds. And now you see it says LCD 2 in there. That's going to be your back display, so I can bump it up to 3, or I can take it down. You can see that light changing. All right, last thing we wanted to tell you about the E-Tac light is you can see I have blue in this kit here. It is available in blue, UV, white, and purple. So depending on the color of your fiber, you may want to change colors there. I've got a green fiber. Blue works awesome with this. All right, that is the E-Tac light. That's a great new light from the folks at Elvish Tac. We're glad to have here at Lancaster Archery. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. And as always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.